After 2 years of being in a Wonderbolt Academy as a reserve, Vapor Trail got a message from her friend and trainer, Rainbow Dash, that she had finally become a full member of the Wonderbolts. When she was told, she could at first not believe it, but after Rainbow had confirmed her a second time, and even Spitfire had also confirmed, then she was beyond happy. She was so overjoyed. She had never believed that she would ever be a Wonderbolt. Even her dream, ever since she was a filly, she wanted to be a Wonderbolt. Even when she went back home for a small break, she had informed her parents back then. She didn't tell them by letter because she preferred telling them by herself, and she could not have been more happier that her parents was beyond happy that their own daughter was a Wonderbolt. But that didn't stop her dream to be a Wonderbolt. She wanted to prove herself. She wanted to prove herself that she can be a Wonderbolt. So therefore, she spent a lot of time with Soren, Surprise, and the other members to train more of the time. She even asked them some ideas or any suggestions how to be more better in her training. And even Soren became like her private teacher when Rainbow Dash couldn't, because since she was also a teacher at the School of Friendship. But even though that she wanted to be a friend, most of her friends had spent with her friends at Academy, she still felt lonely. Most of her friends had often thought that her best friend from back home, that her best friend Skystringer was her boyfriend. But both would laugh when they found out that their friends thought they were dating all along. But Skystringer who said that they aren't even dating. They're just best friends, that's all. Even they care for each other, but Skystringer said that he had some pony else on his mind. There was some pony that he cared about, and turns out to be Fluttershy. And Vapor Trail, by the way, she had never found her special sun pony. But even as her parents had told her, maybe you should try to find your special sun pony, a great stallion to settle down with, to build and start a family with. Even Vapor often told her parents that she didn't feel ready to start a family right at the moment. She was still in her early years, young age, so she still decided to be a Wonderbolt for the moment and to experience life before she decided to settle down and start a family. Even when her family always tried to convince her, when will you ever find a great stallion to be with? And even her friends, and especially her parents, had always believed that she would find a big happiness with Skystringer, which she didn't like at first, but she just dismissed all the beliefs they had in them. But even though that they were right at one point, that she wanted to be with some pony. But as since she had been focused most on trading and on other things, she hadn't even been focused on finding a true love somewhere. But there was one thing that she wanted to do first, to be a great Wonderbolt. But one day when she had a time off from the Wonderbolt practice, she decided to spend time with Rainbow back in Ponyville, since Skystringer was going to decide to be with Fluttershy. But during her time in Ponyville, she noticed another mare, since even she knew most of Ponyville's residents. But when Rainbow noticed that, she immediately recognized it. It was a former Wonderbolt reserve by the name of Rolling Thunder. There was a currently, or as she believed to be a current member of the Washouts, a same group where Lightning Dust were part of. But it later turns out the Washouts no longer existed. The group has been disbanded and all other members have gone their separate ways. But what was Rolling Thunder doing in Ponyville in the first place? Even Rainbow was quite suspicious about this. Maybe she was there to start her own group, maybe encourage other opponents in Pegasi in town to perform such dangerous stunts as she did. But all her suspicions though was wrong. It turns out Rolling Thunder, even as she was a very much arrogant pony, she had moved on from that. Instead, she decided to find more suitable work and just be a normal life. Even her dream to want to be a Wonderbolt one day still be part of it. But in her parts, maybe it was never going to be. So she decided to move on from her dream and be something else. She later became part of the local wedding team of Ponyville. But it was something else that she wanted to do. In fact, she actually became a flying instructor. Even most of that when Rainbow found out, she tried to convince other parents who had the Pegasi children not to take part of her classes, since she was one of a former washouts, that they were a group of dangerous stunts performers. But when Rolling Stone Thunder did actually find out about this, she was furious. She told Rainbow to back off. She had to move on from that part. She even said, "Look, Rainbow, I know you didn't like me or even like Lightning Dust while we were doing it as washouts. But I had moved on from that. You had to give me a try or at least a chance to prove that." And a few other ponies children, Pegasi, decided to be part of the group. At first of all, only about 4, but later they ended the group and up to about 10 to 12. And even though that Rainbow still was curious and has a big eye on this, but sometimes she couldn't, so she asked her friend Vapor Trail if she could look out. Maybe took a look to have a look on this performance training, if there was anything suspicious about dangerous to the children. But all the training showed to be harmless. Even that Rainbow still was very much not convinced. But then, Rolling Thunder had noticed that Vapor Trail was there often to watch how things, and in her suspicions that she had been placed there by Rainbow. And Vapor actually confirmed that to her. And Vapor, she even was asked by Rolling Thunder if she wanted to be like an assistant to help her. Ever since now she is a Wonderbolt, and Vapor at first didn't want to be part of this. But she was given a chance to show it. But she actually showed to be an excellent teacher, or at least an assistant. When Rolling Thunder did actually in fact ask Vapor Trail if she wanted to be her assistant like permanently. But Vapor Trail said that she couldn't. Not even permanently, and for almost every day. Since she had part of Wonderbolts, it would be inconveniently that she would be part of the Wonderbolts and as assistant to her. But they decided to make this as some sort of a deal. Every time when she isn't have any training with the Wonderbolts or having time off, she could always be there to help her with the training, which both agreed to do, since that was more logic conclusion to do. So, since she had no more practice for about a week, she decided to help her after that. But about a week since, and after that was another week passed. There were then when Way Betrayal couldn't help Rolling Thunder. She was going to be in Saudi Arabia for about a performance. So Rolling Thunder took care of all things. But even though that much of things has moved on, they slowly became good friends and often spent time together, more talking, just practice together, just telling each other stories about their childhood or their own experience as a flyer, and give each other some ideas of how to be a better flyer or be better on performance. Even then, Ronnie Thunder told her about her experience being part of washouts. Since after that, she explained that after the Wonderbolts, after washouts had been disbanded, she traveled around the most parts to find a new purpose. The others, they had found another purpose in life. Uh, someone became a teacher. Some became an assistant to another business. But she couldn't find her own purpose, though. She traveled from Manhattan to Trottingham, Baltimore, and even almost to the border of the Griffinstone, to a Crystal Empire. But either way she went, she couldn't find anywhere to be with as any true purpose. But that changed when she came to Pullman. She saw that many other young Pegasi was a good flyers, but someone needed some extra training. She knew that Wonderbolt's lead member Rainbow lived there, but she thought maybe since she is a teacher at the school and as a Wonderbolt would not have much time to help young Pegasi to be training a better flyer. So she asked Mayor if it was allowed for her to start like a small school of being training Pegasi to be better flyers. And even though that she had even her reputation as a washout, or at least a former washout, was in the known public, but Mayor was giving her a chance to prove it. Even at first, there were a few parents that were not happy about this idea. But there were a few parents that was given this her a chance to prove it. So when after this happened, even though that Rainbow after some point was proven that Rolling Thunder was right, that she had moved on, even that she could still be a little bit arrogant or have this short tempered, but she managed to convince at least Rainbow and her friends and other opponents in town that she's a good teacher. But overall, even when Waper was heard all about her stories, her experience, she felt guilty somehow. She thought that maybe that was something that he had been doing. But like when she's watching her, when she was watching Rolling Thunder all along those times when Rainbow asked her to do it, she felt that almost she was judging her. But in her deep inner heart, she had some feeling that, some sort of sense, that Rolling Thunder was true in her honesty. Even the part of Waper was trying to say, no, she is just acting as a good. And later, after she had been getting in trust of all posts in town, she will show them to try to teach the children some dangerous acts, stunts, and maybe form a new watchouts. But all that showed to be wrong. even most of her life were had been experienced, even knowing that Rolling Thunder's childhood was differently from her own. Losing her father when she was about 2 years old, and losing her mother when she was about 18 during a flu. And she had no siblings, no other relatives nearby. She had a few cousins and uncle who lived far away from where she originally lived. After that, and when she was 18, she applied to Wonderbolt Academy to be a reserve. And she was accepted first part of the trail was to be as a reserve. By first to prove that she could be accepted. She was first accepted to be in the trials to see if she could be a Wonderbolt reserve. She was so excited. But after being shown that she couldn't be a part, she was devastated. Hearing of those stories about her past made her to start to feel connected somehow. And then Rolling Thunder even opened up that she was a lesbian. Most of her friends were not happy about it first. That's why she didn't have any much friends when she was growing up. But then Vapor Trail revealed that she was not either that she was bisexual, that she liked both mares and stallions. And that was something that Rolling Thunder did not expect to hear. Even after they had spent some time together, they seem to be almost getting well together along, and then something did happen. After they'd been knowing each other for about 6 months or almost a year, Vapor Trail told Rolling Thunder she had somehow feelings towards her. Even Rolling Thunder was curious, but even Vapor Trail thought maybe that she didn't like her the same way back as many other mares had before. But Vapor Trail was surprised when Rolling Thunder said that she was willing to give her a second chance or a chance of be dating her. At first, they decided to keep this more for themselves, just not to be judging by others, but just to see how this was going to work. And for about 2 months, they managed to keep it a secret until Rainbow and Fluttershy, by random chance, saw them being dating. But they promised to keep it a secret, which they did. But after being dating for almost 2 years, they had been revealed this secret to almost anyone, to any point they know, their friends, family, and anyone. At first, when Vapor revealed the secret to her family, she didn't even take her with to see them. She only told them by letter. It took almost about a few months after the letter, when Vapor Trail actually in fact brought with Rolling Thunder to see her family for the first time. Rolling Thunder was nervous. She was terrified how they would react. If they were saying, "You should date a mare, you should date a stallion. That is the only way, the more logic way." But they were not feeling like that. In fact, they opened her welcome letter as a part of the family. They greeted her as like almost like a daughter-in-law, which both then surprised. They seemed to be getting well, and sadly, since either of Rolling Thunder's parents was no longer alive, the only almost family member that she could be introduced was her uncle and some of her cousins, and they all was open welcome part of this the same. Even they were at first a bit skeptical that this might be a part of some sort of a prank, But when Rolling Thunder showed up with a serious look, they all thought it wasn't a prank. Because they realized, though, that since they haven't even seen Rolling Thunder so much after that her parents passed, and they knew that she wasn't as much as it for a pranks, even when she was a filly. So they was thought that this actually is serious. But even though there was one thing that happened, but during a performance of the Wonderbolts in Camelot, it happened that a few stallions walked up to the Vapor Trail to ask for an autograph. For just an autograph and a picture, and just meeting an idol which they had. And one of the stallions was actually so much near her. First, when they ran into each other a second time a few days later in Camelot, there was she thought maybe it was some random happening. But this continued and continued for almost about a month. And that particular stallion took the things. Well, he wasn't even stalking her. He told her that he saw her as a role model, and for his own daughter, who also was a Pegasi. And when he brought her to see Paper Trail, she thought this was an amazing moment. Seeing her as a young father bring his own daughter to see her role model. And that was actually that when Vapor Trail had an idea, or at least imagined, how she and Rolling Thunder having a baby, or at least a kid themselves together. When she told Rolling Thunder about this during a dinner, when she just livid. Me? A parrot? Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? I don't want kids. What? Never? No. Kids are just annoying to me as, but I do care for kids. I do. But having my own kid, it would be a lot of problem for me. What kind of problem? She asked. Well, having a kid of my own would draw me attention from my flying school, and you would be a person from the Wonderbolts, or well, if we were married, having kids together. But yeah, but I want to keep my own someday. Yeah, but I don't, said Rolling Thunder. But I thought you want to have a family with me. I don't know, maybe, but no, I don't want a family. I don't have any kids. What do you want to have kids? Hearing that broke Vapor's heart. You know what? I thought you were different. But Rainbow was right. You are just too arrogant. You don't want to. You thought about. You only been thinking about yourself. I don't want to see you anymore, and it's over between us. And but before Rolling Thunder could say anything, Vapor stormed out and flew away. In fact, she took the train back to her family's home. And when she told them, they were really surprised. Skystringer, who was also back home for a short time, he comforted her, and that could have been the last time Vapor ever saw Rolling Thunder. But Rolling Thunder, she didn't stop living in Ponyville. She stayed. She tried to focus on her flight as normal. Even though that she was heartbroken, she was devastated, realizing that Vapor Trail was her true love, and what she did could not have been forgiven so easily. But then Vapor Trail came back to Ponyville, but she avoided any contact with Rolling Thunder all the time. And as months passed, they still hadn't even talked or even looked at each other. But that all changed when Vapor Trail came to Ponyville during the winter months almost near the holiday, she started feeling a little bit ill, among a few others in Ponyville, but her condition was getting even worse. She was staying at the castle during the time, but one morning when Spike would wake up to see her, to wake her up, he saw that she was unresponding. She had a high fever, shivers, and it was anything he has ever seen. He and Twilight immediately brought her to hospital. There, they confirmed she had been having the pony flu, but this was a very serious condition. It turns out she had a rare flu of the pony flu that only once happened once, maybe a 50 to 100 years. And since it was a rare form of the flu, which rarely has any of the hospital around Equestria has this medicine for it, and when they told Twilight the true medicine was a flower, but it only grew some northern mountains of the Crystal Empire. But since the last case of this flu was about 200 years ago, no pony have been able to find the flower ever since. When Twilight told Spike about this, when he was in the waiting room, later he told Rolling Thunder when she was just walking by, and when she found out, it broke her heart even more, realizing how this could be even worse. She had no idea what to do, and since what Spike told her, the only cure for it was a flower, which hasn't been seen for 2 centuries, and no pony had even seen it then. So she went immediately to the local library, which has been rebuilt, and tried to find any book of old medicine, cures. And in one of the books, she managed to find a picture of a particular flower for this particular flu. And since what Spike told her, that was only been growing in the northern part of the Crystal Empire, she decided this was the only way to save Vapor Trail. If she'd passed, she would not be able to live by the laws of her own true love. So by the morning the next day, she took a train all the way to Crystal Empire, but she didn't inform none of her friends about this, because if she did, they would probably have been stopping her, especially Rainbow Dash. So she went all the way to Crystal Empire, where she asked some of the locals where she can find that particular mountain area where the flowers are supposed to be in. But she didn't mention about the flower. She only experienced told that she was there to doing some rock climbing, to more some experience of trying to challenge. So the locals told her exactly where the region were, and she was given a map and some warnings. The winds up there could be very strong, but she said that she will try to handle that. So she went to the mountains by herself, put some packing, some gears, and she headed off. And the locals were right. The wind at the first low levels of the mountains were something that she could just fly up to. But as high as she got, the wind gets stronger and stronger. At some point she could no longer fly up to. So she had to climb and use some gears. And what the point where according to the book where it says for which height the flower was growing to. Apparently this flower was growing where near supposed to be in cold temperature, which normally flowers didn't. But since this was a special blue flower, she managed to look around in the area, but no luck. She searched for almost 3 hours before almost giving up hope to find the flower and just decided maybe it was worth no time to search anymore. But then, by stroke of luck, behind some boulders, she managed to see at least 4 under the 2 blue flowers that she'd been looking for. So she picked at least 3 of them in her backpack. She started climbing down, but almost halfway down, she lost the grip of her gears and she almost fell to the ground, but managed to fly and down to the ground. And all the way back to Castle Empire, all that she had in her mind was Vapor Trail. All she wanted that he would be alive, that when she get back to Ponyville. But the train was stopped for the day though, so she had to wait. So early next morning when the next train to Ponyville arrived, she couldn't wait. She sat on the train nervously, hoping that Vapor Trail was still alive when she got back. She could barely sleep on the train. She was so nervous. She was so heartbroken, mostly devastated about all this happened. She couldn't even bring herself to sleep. She had been even awake the whole night. When she arrived to Ponyville, she was met by Rainbow Dash and Spike at the market when she just walked by. They saw her and asked, "Where have you been?" They asked her, "Crystal Empire, finding a flower, Vapor Trail," she said. They really didn't know what she meant. But when Spike said, "Flower, Vapor Trail," and Rolling Thunder just nodded and ran away from them. Well, she ran all the way to the hospital. And Rainbow asked, "What flower? And what about Vapor Trail?" She knew Vapor Trail was. She knew that she was ill, but she had no idea about the flower though. So Spike explained, and Rainbow realized what Rolling Thunder had been doing. So they all went to the hospital. Where that when exact moment when Rolling Thunder had given over the flowers to the doctor. He was barely surprised and mostly shocked that she had been able to find a particular flower that seems no one had been seeing for 200 years. But she said that it was only random luck. And they told her that she looked tired. She maybe need to get some rest, but she shook her head. She would not sleep until she knows that Vapor Trail is safe. She demanded a doctor quickly to make the cure and give her to her. And her friends could not have been seeing anymore. They were blinded. They didn't expect her courage, her driven force to save Vapor Trail. They even asked her why, since they hadn't even been together for about a few months. And Rolling Thunder explained, losing her would be even more heartbroken to her since she lost a family. She could not bear to see losing another one that she loved more than anything. And even Rainbow, she could see that Rolling Thunder was serious. She tried to comfort her, but was beyond any point. Rolling Thunder was beyond comforting. She was worried to sing. She literally walked back and forth in the waiting room. Even her friends tried to convince her to sit down and wait with them. Several hours later, the doctor comes out and revealing that Vapor Trail will be just fine. The cure had kicked in and she was beyond harm anymore. She will survive. Hearing those words, Rolling Thunder sighed and smiled, then collapsed to the floor. She had been driven herself to brain exhaustion all this point, when hearing that Vapor Trail will be fine, she passed out of tiredness. At least another day passed when Vapor Trail were has been awake, and she was allowed to see Rolling Thunder. Later that, Vapor Trail had been informed by her friends, especially by Twilight and Rainbow, what Rolling Thunder had been done for her. Vapor even asked her what Rainbow and Twilight had told her was true, that she literally traveled all the way to the Crystal Empire by herself to find the cure, which was almost impossible to find since no one had seen it for 200 years, and even against the odds, finding them among the area of the mountains during strong winds. And she also said that it was all true. She would not have been stopped resting until she had found the cure. And she asked why. And all that Rolling Thunder could say was that he loved her more than anything. By losing her would be losing part of her soul and part of, most of all, her heart. Hearing those words made Vapor start to cry, realizing the mistake she did years earlier. But then Rolling Thunder said, if we were married, we will have children. I realized my mistake, that seeing you unhappy in a marriage without any children would be almost equally to being throwing yourself into cards, rolling cards. I would not be able to bear myself to see you unhappy in a marriage where you won't have anything that would make you happy. So if we were be able to get married at some point, of course we would have kids together. As many you wanted, of course. Maybe 10, 20. Not 20 or 10, but as many as possible, said Vapor Trail. I'm sorry for my big mistake, she said. Don't bother. I forgive you. No matter what happens, we'll always be there for each other. And they gave each other a big hug and a kiss. And only a few days later, Vapor Trail was allowed to leave the hospital. And as they expected, they were back being a couple. Even for most of the time being there together. They all was happy to be with one that they loved the most. Around spring though, around Heart and Hoops Day, Rolling Thunder proposed to Vapor Trail, which said yes immediately. After all their friends and family were informed, they were all beyond happiness of joy. Around summer, when they decided to have the wedding, Vapor Trail had asked Fluttershy to be her bridesmaid and even Rainbow to be Rolling Thunder's bridesmaid. And after the wedding itself, they all went to Las Pegasus for about a week. And they all had this amazing time there. Even after all what happened in the past, it only made their love for each other even much stronger. They could never have been happier without them. But when they came back home, they decided maybe it was time to have a family. And after about a year, Rolling Thunder had been asked by Twilight if she could help her. And then, only a few months later, Rolling Thunder had a son. And when the son was about 4 years, they had another baby, which Vapor had. and she had a daughter. But almost when only about a year later, Rolling Thunder had another son, and both of them were happy to have 3 children of their own. Even Rolling Thunder was worried about how career as a flying training teacher would be jeopardized, but in fact it didn't. But in fact though, she later even had 3 students more, her own children, which she didn't expect to consider. But they all made some sacrifice in life to be part of their family. But they always made to figure out a way to stop it, or at least figure out a way to make some compromise. Even the ruling founder had realized that Vapor Trail was the one that she loved the most in the entire kingdom. And that's how Rolling Thunder and Vapor Trail found a true love and they got a big family. The end.